Tonight from downtown Indianapolis, the Fever welcome in the Seattle Storm with major playoff implications on the line tonight.
All right, y'all, look, it's a big one tonight, okay? It's an important one. This has got to be our best 40 minutes. This has got to be our most intentional 40 minutes in everything that we do, okay? Look, no one person needs to do anything outside of themselves, right? But every single person in this locker room needs to be the best version of themselves.
What if the player who was supposed to save a franchise ended up revealing its hidden superpower by not playing at all? The Indiana Fever were supposed to be dead in the water. With their superstar Caitlin Clark watching from the bench and a fifth of their roster out with injuries, they were walking into a game that felt more like a trap than an opportunity. But what happened next wasn't a win. It was a warning. The Fever didn't just beat the Seattle Storm. They rewrote their own history, breaking 6 different records in a single night of stunning dominance. This is the story of how a team on the brink of collapse discovered it was secretly a monster.
Aliyah Boston and Izzy Magmagor in the center jump circle. We are underway from Indianapolis. Odyssey Sims tracks down the jump ball and lays it in.
Sims wearing bright pink shoes, passes to Mitchell, right corner three. It's good, and it's a record. 771 points and counting in 2025 for Kelsey Mitchell, the most in Fever franchise history.
The scene inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse was almost surreal. The building had been transformed into a temple for a goddess who wasn't even there. It was the official launch night for Caitlin Clark's signature Nike logo, and the double CC was everywhere, glowing on the jumbotrons, emblazoned on banners, and printed on thousands of t-shirts handed out to every fan. The crowd became a unified sea of black and gold, a testament to a player whose brand was powerful enough to sell out an arena even when she was in street clothes. The energy was electric, but it was all for a ghost, a presence felt but not seen on the court.
It looks really unique, I think it's very creative for Caitlin Clark to come up with something like this. And I just enjoy all of it, it's like aura.
We love it! It's simple, yet it speaks a lot.
I love it so much.
I'm a big fan of it. Simplicity is the best. I like the design. Nike always does great with design, so I'm a huge fan of the logo.
It looks really cool. I was really excited to see it last night, and it looks like we're going to get shirts with it on it, so that's pretty exciting too.
I like it. I like how it incorporates the CC.
I love it. Double C's. Let's go, Caitlin!
But behind the celebratory facade, the players were carrying an immense psychological burden. For months, the narrative had been singular: Caitlin Clark. She was the franchise, the savior, the entire story. Her teammates were often treated as a supporting cast in her show. Now, with the entire building draped in her logo while they faced a must-win game without her, the pressure was suffocating. They weren't just playing against the Seattle Storm, they were playing against the perception that they were nothing without their star. This game was their one chance to prove they were a team, not just a backdrop.
Feels good. Got the pants, got the charms, necklace, zipper, everything.
This battle was being fought on 2 fronts. Off the court, it was a marketing spectacle, a citywide party celebrating a player who couldn't play. On the court, it was a grim fight for survival. Clark wasn't the only one missing. Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby, Sydney Colson, and Ari McDonald were also sidelined, leaving the Fever's bench practically empty. The team had been spiraling, losing 4 of their last 5 games and slowly sliding out of playoff contention. The celebration felt like a bizarre, almost cruel contrast to the reality facing the players who actually had to suit up and fight for their season.
AB's been the one that's been most affected by all of our injuries. All of the point guards that know how to get her the ball and how they get it to her. And it's not just getting her the ball, it's where you get it to her. Getting it to her on time, on target, thinking one pass ahead, all that matters. And I thought today, her aggressiveness with the ball in her hands to the rim, getting into defenders, playing low to high instead of high to low. When she plays like that, there's nobody that can stop her. And, she set the tone for us, really on both ends. She had the NECA assignment as well and set the tone for us on both ends. And, she was terrific.
This is where Coach Stephanie White faced an unspoken challenge. How do you keep a team focused when the entire organization, city, and media are consumed by the celebration of an absent player? Her leadership in that moment was critical. Before the game, she laid it out in stark terms. This was no longer a regular season game in late August. This was a playoff game. She demanded they tune out the noise, ignore the logos on the walls, and play with a ferocity that Seattle simply wasn't prepared for. Every possession, every rebound, every defensive stop mattered, as if their entire season was on the line, because it was.
It's special. I mean, there's very few people who get the opportunity to say that they have a logo and to make the impact that she makes, not just, I think, in the sport, but globally, just by being who she is. She's a connector. She brings people together. And, I think for us to be a part of that, and whether it's, as simple as being able to celebrate all of these things with her, or, as much as walking out into the arena and seeing the whiteout on the chairs out there, it's really cool. And it's really special and shoot, I'm talking about it right now, and just feeling the intense gratitude for me personally, being in women's basketball, to be able to be a part of this moment and to celebrate with her.
Just minutes into the game, the worst fears of every Fever fan seemed to come true. In a chaotic scramble for a loose ball, Lexi Hull and Seattle's Gabby Williams collided head-on. The sound was a sickening crack that echoed through the arena, a sound no one wanted to hear. The entire building, once buzzing with energy, fell into a dead, anxious silence. Hull crumpled to the floor before slowly being helped off the court, a massive, grotesque knot already swelling on her forehead. With 5 players already out, the sight of another key defender going down felt like a final cruel twist of the knife.
And Gabby Williams were slow to get up after a collision underneath the basket. Here's what happened.
Well, that is a major collision for the two of them. They both knock heads. It took them both some time to get to their feet.
But then, in a moment that would define the entire season, something unbelievable happened. Less than 10 minutes later, Lexi Hull checked back into the game, the gruesome swelling on her head impossible to ignore. The silent crowd didn't just cheer, they erupted. That single act of toughness sent a shockwave through her team and the entire arena. It was a defiant statement that they would not be broken, they would not fold. After the game, Aliyah Boston called her the definition of tough. Hull's courage didn't just prevent a collapse, it triggered an avalanche.
Quarter. The entire arena fell silent when Lexi Hull and Gabby Williams collided hard, heads crashing together as they both fought for a loose ball. The sound echoed, and then came the sight. Hull walking off with a massive knot forming on her forehead. The crowd gasped, and suddenly all that celebration from earlier in the night shifted into worried quiet. With 5 of her teammates already out, the thought of losing Hull in that moment felt crushing.
Lexi Hull gets hit in the head there at the beginning of the game, comes back in. If you could just speak to her toughness and what it meant seeing her fight through what sure was not very pleasant.
I feel like Lexi's the definition of tough.
Yes.
I think when you just think of her as a player, the way that she hustles, she likes to get loose balls, extra offensive possessions. That's what she does. I mean, she got hit, she came back and just continued to contribute again. Was a pest on defense, just making her presence felt, offensive rebounds, and that's just who Lexi is. So.
With that newfound fire, the Fever's offense was completely unleashed. This wasn't just hero ball, it was a systematic dismantling of Seattle's defense. The ball moved with purpose, finding open shooters and creating mismatches inside. Their defensive stops turned into lightning-fast transition opportunities, leaving the Storm scrambling to keep up. They dominated the rebounding battle 42-21, refusing to give Seattle any second chances. The Storm, led by veteran star Nika Ogwumike, had walked in expecting to face a depleted, demoralized team. Instead, they ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, I mean, that was disgusting. I don't know if y'all saw it, but I mean, it's who she is. She's just a tough young woman who battles every possession, and you can never tell if Lexi does, if she's hurt, if she's injured, if she goes down, if she gets back up. She just always has the same expression, and she just plays her butt off. And I'm thankful that it wasn't worse, and thankful that she was able to come back. But she really kind of epitomizes the toughness and the grit of this team.
At the heart of that attack was Kelsey Mitchell. The veteran guard played with a quiet fury, taking on the role of the primary offensive weapon and leader. She moved without the ball like a phantom, slicing through screens for open looks and making brilliant backdoor cuts that left Seattle's defenders looking helpless. Even Storm players admitted after the game that Mitchell was the head of the snake, the one player they simply could not contain. Her performance was a masterclass, a reminder that long before Clark arrived, Mitchell was the engine of this team.
Williams drive, passes, Breezy with a block. She swats Malunga. Fever in transition left to right, Powers at the right elbow. Backing down Diggins, passes left wing, Kelsey fires, got it! The defense to offense, and the Fever lead by 10. It's 22-12 with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Sims knocks down a three.
Then came the moment that sent a ripple through the entire WNBA. With her scoring outburst, Kelsey Mitchell officially passed Caitlin Clark for the most points scored in a single season in Indiana Fever franchise history. The record Clark had set just last year as a rookie, a record that symbolized her immediate impact, was already broken. It was a stunning development that highlighted a fascinating truth. While the world was focused on Clark, Mitchell had been quietly putting together an all-time great season. This wasn't a rivalry, it was the foundation of a scoring duo that could terrorize the league for years to come.
Kelsey pick and roll, and DD lays it in. Lexi left wing, rise and fire. Yes! Howard skip pass, AB, watch three, right side. Bucket.
Mitchell sees two. There's Boston.
Front roll into the race.
They didn't get a good look, and it's Boston to Mitchell.
That wraps up the first half. The Fever lead the Storm 50-30.
While Mitchell controlled the perimeter, Aliyah Boston established an undisputed reign in the paint. She turned into a bully, imposing her will on every possession. She used a combination of brute strength and masterful footwork, backing down defenders, hitting fadeaway jumpers, and finishing through contact. It was a dominant display that Seattle had absolutely no answer for. Every time Boston touched the ball, it felt like an almost guaranteed bucket. She wasn't just scoring, she was sending a message that the paint belonged to her.
Boston gets the bounce. And it's Howard to Boston.
16,737 on their feet at Cambridge Fieldhouse. Final score, Fever 95, Storm 75. A statement victory for Indiana to spring ahead of Seattle.
Her physical dominance quickly translated into historic numbers. During the game, Boston pulled down her 1,000th career rebound, becoming the second youngest player in the entire history of the WNBA to reach that milestone. The only player to do it faster was the legendary Tina Charles. This wasn't just a statistic, it was a confirmation of her destiny. Drafted to be a franchise cornerstone, Boston was already proving she was a generational talent, living up to every ounce of the hype.
Kel set a new franchise record for most points in a single season.
Wow! As Aguma K gets it to go. Mitchell, quick trigger, and hits.
Unguardable. No one can guard. Sykes doing a good job of stuffing that backdoor cut, but it just sets up the screen and roll. It's all Kelsey Mitchell. The subtle things, the amount of attention.
Just when it seemed Boston's night couldn't get any more historic, she achieved something even rarer, something that put her in the most elite company imaginable. She became the second fastest player in WNBA history to record 1,000 rebounds and 350 assists. The only other name on that list? Candace Parker. Being in a category with Parker speaks to a level of versatility that few players ever achieve. It's a testament to her unique blend of brute force under the basket and a high basketball IQ that allows her to be a brilliant playmaker.
AB, 1,000th career rebound. Fastest player in Fever history to do so.
Wow!
Thanks, ladies.
And good hands there by Aliyah. Boston just wrestles it away from Aguma K, and here is Mitchell.
Usually you'd have a 2-for-1 right here if you had Caitlin Clark on the floor, but without Caitlin Clark, you really need to get a good look.
They do get a good look, and it's Boston to Mitchell. Here is Boston going at the rookie. Boston using her strength to get to the rim.
That one more dribble puts the shot blocker inside the cylinder of the rim.
But this story of dominance wasn't limited to the team's two biggest stars. Odyssey Sims, the veteran guard brought in to provide depth, delivered a statement of her own. She wasn't just filling a spot, she was a weapon. Sims became the second fastest player in franchise history to reach 50 points and 25 assists, right behind, you guessed it, Caitlin Clark. Her performance was punctuated by a wild circus-style bank shot from nearly 35 feet out, a dagger of a play that sent the crowd into a frenzy and broke Seattle's spirit for good.
It's just a really good job. That's what I'm talking about. An extra dribble to get Malanga inside the cylinder of the rim.
It's been a strong start to the third quarter here for Indiana. An 11-point lead has grown to 16, and Boston adding to it, and one in a foul.
Screen and roll, and a good seal. I say this.
I don't have any specifics on it. I think right now it's day to day. She's progressed in her rehab, and anticipate by hopefully what is today? What day is today? Tuesday. By hopefully end of the week, she'll be on the floor, at least in practice.
What have you been missing without her? You know, I was talking to her recently about what she brought to you guys, but what do you feel like you've lacked when she is absent from these games?
The ability to spread the floor for AB. I mean, really to have another person that can knock down a shot, and we can create some space for AB to go to work on the interior.
The final, crushing blow to the record books perfectly defined the night. Boston, Mitchell, and Sims all scored over 20 points, and they each did it while playing less than 30 minutes. That level of hyper-efficiency is so rare, it has only happened 6 times in the entire history of the league. It was the ultimate proof that this wasn't one player carrying the team on their back. This was a perfectly balanced, ruthless, and deep offensive machine, firing on all cylinders. This was a team.
Aliyah Boston and Ezzy Magbagor in the center jump circle. We are underway from Indianapolis. Odyssey Sims tracks down the jump ball and lays it in. Here is Sims, one of those newcomers, slicing through the defense and gets to the rim.
I love the vertical game of the Fever right now.
In this building, 2007, finished third all-time points scored. IHSA basketball history on the girls' side as Odyssey Sims knocks down a 3.
Okay, really great stuff. That's the most complete game we put together in a long time. We made more free throws than they attempted. Yo, hey, that is a difference maker for us, and that will be a difference maker for us. 22 assists on 36 made field goals. Total team effort.
AB, 1,000th career rebound. Fastest player in Fever history to do so. And Kel set a new franchise record for most points in a single season.
And so, it all comes back to the ghost in the arena. Caitlin Clark has been out since June 15th, and Coach White has made it clear she won't return until she can handle full-contact, live-action practice. But after this historic night, the entire question around her return has been reframed. It's no longer about whether Clark can come back in time to save the Fever from collapse. It's about what happens when you inject a generational offensive weapon, her limitless range, her court vision, into a team that just discovered its own killer instinct and championship-level depth.
Just curious, on a big picture, was Caitlin able to go through your little walkthrough or whatever you normally do? And what do you want to see ultimately to get comfort whenever the time comes?
Yeah, she went through our walkthrough yesterday. Today it was very short, prior to game time, but she went through it yesterday, and I want to see her in practice, live in practice. I want to see her continue to work to not just build endurance, but to be able to handle contact 94 feet as it's going to be in game, and to be able to do that and sustain from an endurance standpoint. And that's going to take multiple practices to make sure that there's no regression. And as most of us know, when we get fatigued, we look different, and see how she plays through fatigue.
This victory was more than just a notch in the win column. It was a warning shot to the rest of the league. The Indiana Fever proved they are not just Caitlin Clark's team. They are a legitimate force, a tough, deep, and resilient roster with a core that is built to win now. The records they broke were not a fluke. They were the first chapter in a new story. With Clark's return on the horizon, the potential for this team is no longer just a hope. It's a terrifying reality for every other team in the WNBA. The storm is coming.